Ever wondered what the first light of day brought to an average Roman citizen in ancient times? Our journey begins before the sun has even nudged the horizon, as Romans were early risers. The cock's crow would stir the average Roman citizen from their slumber, and the day would begin even before dawn had fully broken. Morning hygiene for the Romans was a relatively straightforward affair. They'd freshen up with a splash of water to the face, a quick clean of the teeth with a mixture of crushed bone and oyster shells, and then they were good to go. The Romans were practical people, and they didn't dawdle when it came to getting ready for the day. With the morning freshening up out of the way, it was time for the first meal of the day, known as ientaculum. Now, if you're picturing a lavish feast of exotic fruits and roasted meats, you'd be mistaken. The ientaculum was a simple, quick meal, but it was by no means lackluster. Freshly baked bread was a staple, often accompanied by cheese, a few olives, maybe a handful of nuts or dried fruits, and washed down with a cup of water or, for some, a little wine. It was a meal that was easy to prepare and quick to consume, perfect for a bustling city like Rome that was always on the go. The importance of these food items in their diet was immense. Bread, for instance, was not just food. It was a symbol of fertility and life. Cheese, made from the milk of sheep, goats, or cows, was a valuable source of protein. Olives, a staple in the Mediterranean diet, were a key source of fats and vitamins. So the Romans, it seems, weren't so different from us after all. Their mornings were a blend of practicality and simplicity, mirroring the breakneck pace of life in the Eternal City. Just like many of us today, the Romans began their day with a simple, quick meal before heading out to face the day's demands. As the sun rose higher, what tasks did our Roman citizens set out to accomplish? Just like in our modern world, the ancient Romans had a myriad of occupations to keep the wheels of their society turning. The vast majority of Romans were farmers, tilling the fertile soil of the Italian peninsula to grow olives, grapes, and grains. They would rise with the sun, hitch their oxen to the plough, and set to work under the Mediterranean sky. In the city of Rome itself, the streets would have been filled with merchants and traders, selling everything from fish caught in the Tiber River to exotic spices imported from the far reaches of the empire. These merchants added color and variety to Roman life, their stalls a bustling hive of activity from dawn until dusk. For some Romans, their day's work was a matter of life and death. The soldiers of Rome's legions, stationed at the frontiers of the empire, were tasked with defending its borders. These brave men faced the grueling task of maintaining peace and order in a world that was often anything but peaceful. And let's not forget the politicians. The senators of Rome, men of wealth and power, spent their days in the Forum, the political heart of the empire. Here, amid the grand temples and public buildings, they debated laws, made speeches, and played their part in the complex game of Roman politics. The Forum was the hub of Roman life, a place where citizens gathered to conduct business, to buy and sell goods, and to hear the latest news from around the empire. It was a place of noise and activity, where the energy of the Roman people was on full display. Whether a soldier or a senator, each Roman citizen had a role to play in the bustling heart of the empire. From the farmer in his field, to the merchant in the Forum, to the senator in the Senate House, each person had a part to play in the great drama of daily life in ancient Rome. When the work was done, how did Romans unwind in the afternoon? This is a question that takes us back 2,000 years, to a time where the concept of leisure was a bit different than what we know today. For the Romans, the afternoon was a time to relax and socialize. One of the most popular spots for this was the Roman baths. These weren't just places to clean up after a long day's work. They were also social hubs, buzzing with activity. Romans would gather here to catch up with friends, engage in political discussion, or simply enjoy the atmosphere. The baths were far more than just large pools of water. They were expansive complexes, complete with gymnasiums for exercise, libraries for intellectual stimulation, and even shops for those interested in a bit of retail therapy. The baths were a testament to the Roman love for leisure and socializing. They were spaces where the lines between the classes blurred, where a senator could rub shoulders with a baker, and where everyone could enjoy a well-deserved break. But what about food? Well, The afternoon meal in ancient Rome, known as prandium, typically consisted of leftovers from the previous evening's meal. This was a light meal, often eaten on the go or in the bustling marketplaces. Prandium might consist of bread, cheese, olives, and perhaps some cold meat or fish. Despite its simplicity, this meal was an important part of the Roman day, providing fuel for the afternoon's activities and laying the foundation for the evening meal to come. The afternoon was a time when Romans could step away from the demands of work and enjoy the simpler pleasures of life. Whether it was a leisurely dip in the baths, a vigorous workout in the gymnasium, an engaging conversation with a friend, or a quick bite of prandium, the afternoon was a time for relaxation and enjoyment. The afternoon offered a well-deserved break, a time for relaxation, socializing, and a light meal before the evening's activities. It was a time when Romans could be Romans, enjoying the fruits of their labor and the vibrant social scene that was the hallmark of Roman life. As daylight faded, how did Romans entertain themselves, and what did their main meal look like? As the sun set in the mighty city of Rome, the citizens would gather for merriment and amusement. The Romans were a people of passions, and their evenings were filled with entertainment that catered to their diverse tastes. The theatre was a popular choice, where one could witness everything from the farcical plays of Plautus to the tragedies of Seneca. These performances were not just for the cultured elite, but for everyone, from patricians to plebeians. Then there were the gladiatorial games, a spectacle of courage and valor that thrilled the masses. These games were not just blood sports, they were a display of Roman virtue, a testament to their strength and resilience. The crowd would cheer on their favorite gladiators, men who fought with the ferocity of lions and the grace of eagles. As the evening wore on, the Romans would gather for their main meal, the cena. This wasn't a quick bite, but a banquet that could last several hours. The cena was more than just a meal, it was a social event, a time for Romans to come together and enjoy the pleasures of food and conversation. The table would be laden with a variety of dishes, from succulent meats to fresh fruits and vegetables. The Romans loved their food, and they loved to share it. The cena was an opportunity for them to display their wealth and generosity, to impress their guests with their culinary prowess. The meal would often consist of multiple courses, starting with the gusttatio, a selection of appetizers, followed by the prime mense, the main course, and ending with the secundae mense, the dessert. The Romans believed in dining in style, and their meals were a testament to their love for the finer things in life. From theatrical performances to lavish feasts, evening in Rome was a time for entertainment and indulgence. The Romans knew how to live, and their evenings were a celebration of life in all its richness and variety. When the night fell, how did our Roman citizen prepare for the end of the day? As darkness blanketed the city, the ancient Romans, like us, sought refuge in the comfort of sleep. Yet, their approach to this universal human activity was shaped by a very different world. The lack of artificial light meant that Romans, for the most part, adhered to the rhythm of the sun. The night was a time for rest and rejuvenation. As soon as the sun set, the city's bustling streets would quiet down, and households would retreat indoors. The Romans didn't have our modern beds. They usually slept on simple mattresses filled with straw or feathers, placed upon a wooden bed frame. The wealthy might have enjoyed more elaborate sleeping arrangements, with plush, feather-filled mattresses and ornate bed frames. Dreams played a significant role in Roman society. They were considered messages from the gods, hints of future events, or reflections of one's inner thoughts. A good dream could set a positive tone for the day, while a nightmare might be cause for concern. The interpretation of dreams was a serious matter, often requiring the expertise of a dream interpreter. The night also held a special place in Roman religion and superstitions. Many Roman gods were associated with aspects of the night, like Luna, the goddess of the moon, and Somnus, the god of sleep. Nighttime was also thought to be a time when the boundary between the mortal world and the divine was at its thinnest. Superstitions abounded, with many Romans believing that certain actions or events during the night could bring good or bad luck. For instance, It was considered unlucky to stumble upon a black cat at night, as it was believed to be a bad omen. And so, under the blanket of the Roman night, our citizen ends their day, ready to rise again with the dawn. As we've seen, while many aspects of Roman life were vastly different from our own, the need for rest, the significance of dreams, and the mystique of the night are universal human experiences that still resonate with us today.